Introduction: The Lie of Family Content. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop dressing it up with cute music, pastel fonts, and captions about cherished memories. Parents posting their children online for likes, followers, sponsors, and revenue are not documenting family life. They're exploiting. They're manufacturing content. They're selling their kids' image, their kids' privacy, their kids' dignity for digital clout and maybe a cut of AdSense or brand deals. And if you strip away the hallmark veneer and look at what's actually happening, it lands uncomfortably close to the same mechanics that make CSAM so grotesque. Yes, I said it. And if that makes you squirm, good, because you should be squirming. The kid never consents. They don't even understand what's happening. A toddler doesn't know what Instagram is. A 5-year-old can't weigh the lifelong impact of having their worst tantrum, their private medical struggles, their bath time, or even just their face plastered online forever. They don't have agency, and yet the parent is making a permanent decision that will trail that child for the rest of their life. What's the difference between that and a predator deciding a child's image is theirs to use and distribute? Sure, one's wrapped in wholesomeness and the other in sexual predation, but the underlying violation is the same. Adults taking a child's existence and turning it into material for their own gain. And here's the thing. If a random stranger filmed your kid on the playground and uploaded it to TikTok for clout, you'd call the cops. You'd scream bloody murder. But when parents do it, when they're the ones shoving a camera into their kid's face, editing it into a reel, and cashing the sponsorship check, society applauds. Suddenly it's adorable, relatable, heartwarming. It's not heartwarming. It's grooming the public into normalizing child exploitation as entertainment. It's grooming advertisers into seeing children as free marketing assets. And it's grooming the children themselves into believing that their boundaries don't matter, that their most intimate moments exist for public consumption. People recoil at CSAM, and they should. But then they scroll right past an 8-year-old crying on camera while her mom captions it, "She's so dramatic, LOL." They hit like on a video of a toddler being potty trained, as if the most vulnerable, humiliating process a child can endure belongs in a stranger's feed. They subscribe to channels where every single aspect of a kid's life, first steps, first words, first crushes, is monetized. That's not parenting. That's content farming. That's digital child labor dressed up as nostalgia. And if you don't see the connective tissue between that and the darker forms of exploitation, then you're deliberately blinding yourself. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Children are the new unpaid influencers. They're the golden goose for parents desperate for relevance. They're the easy clickbait, the emotional hooks, the guaranteed virality. Parents film the breakdowns, the punishments, the intimate milestones, because raw emotion sells. Vulnerability sells. Innocence sells. And nothing is more vulnerable, more innocent, more raw than a child who has no clue they're being paraded before an invisible, endless audience. That is exploitation, plain and simple. And it doesn't matter how many pastel bows you glue to it or how many family memories captions you attach. It's still the same rotten core, a powerless child used as a tool for adult profit and attention. This isn't just harmless fun. It's the creation of a permanent digital footprint that the child will never be able to erase, a footprint they had no say in, a footprint that strangers, corporations, and predators alike now own. And if you're okay with that, if you think a parent's right to attention outweighs a child's right to dignity, then congratulations. You're complicit in a lesser form of the very exploitation we claim to find unthinkable. Section 2. The mechanics of exploitation. Let's dissect this carcass. Strip away the pastel filters, the mompreneur hashtags, the chirpy vlogs, and what's left is a business model. Cold, calculated, exploitative. A parent points a camera at their kid, presses record, and converts their existence into currency. Engagement is harvested like crops. Sponsorships get secured. Revenue rolls in. All of it built on the unpaid labor of someone too young to even spell the word consent. People want to act like this is somehow different from traditional exploitation. Sweatshops, child acting, modeling, pageants. But the difference isn't moral. It's legal. We've regulated those industries, and even then, they're still abusive. There are laws, unions, protections. A kid on a movie set has limits on hours worked, protections for income, and at least some oversight. A kid in a sweatshop has labor laws in theory. But a kid on YouTube, a kid on TikTok, they've got nothing. No laws, no protections, no oversight. Just a parent and an algorithm, both drooling for more content. Likes equals currency. Children equals assets. Here's how it works. Every like, every share, every sponsorship deal is another deposit into the parent's account. The child's face, voice, tears, milestones, all treated as raw material for production. It's a factory of relatability. You're not watching family moments, you're watching monetized child labor. And the worst part? It's not just that these kids don't get paid, it's that they can't even understand what they're being used for. The product has no clue it's being sold. We've created a class of unpaid child influencers, enslaved to an algorithm they don't even know exists. Their lives are chopped up into clips and served to millions. Their worth is measured in engagement metrics. Their boundaries don't matter because boundaries don't monetize. You can't sell privacy. You can't sell dignity. But you can sell humiliation, tantrums, bath time, first crushes, medical diagnoses, punishments. Those sell very, very well. The permanent digital footprint. Here's the kicker. Once it's out there, it's forever. That tantrum, that moment of bedwetting, that first trip to the doctor, that awkward puberty milestone, immortalized, frozen in the amber of the internet. The child can't delete it. The child can't consent to it. The child can't undo it. When they grow up, they inherit a digital prison of their own childhood, curated, edited, and packaged by their parents for strangers. And if you think predators aren't trawling through this content, saving it, sharing it, fetishizing it, you're willfully naive. Family vloggers love to act shocked when their kids' videos end up on fetish forums or in CSAM-adjacent circles. But what did they expect? They're serving vulnerable, intimate images of children onto an open platter called the internet. You can't control where it goes. You can't control who sees it. Once you've traded your kid's dignity for likes, it's out of your hands forever. Data harvesting, the silent theft. And then there's the tech angle. Every image of a child uploaded online contributes to shadow profiles built by corporations. Advertising companies track their faces, their habits, their interests, long before they're old enough to buy anything themselves. Their identities are colonized before they even form. Their future consumer profiles are built on the unpaid exploitation of their current selves. It's the most insidious theft imaginable, the stealing of a life trajectory for corporate gain, and parents cheerfully hand it over. They call it building memories. No, you're building a database that will stalk your kid for life. You're feeding a surveillance economy with the flesh of your child's innocence. The algorithm doesn't care. None of this works without the algorithm. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they thrive on what sells, and what sells is children. Their faces, their voices, their vulnerabilities. Content featuring kids consistently gets higher engagement. Why? Because innocence, vulnerability, and intimacy are irresistible to the voyeur in everyone, even people who don't admit it. The algorithm isn't moral. It doesn't care that this is exploitation. It doesn't care that this is grooming the world to normalize watching children as entertainment. It only cares about clicks. And parents, desperate for validation and cash, feed their children into the machine. The family vlogger economy. Let's be blunt. Family vlogger is just a sanitized label for pimping out your kids online. Whole channels exist where the kids are the stars, the parents are just narrators, and the content is 90% the children's lives. School, friends, hobbies, illnesses, puberty, heartbreak, nothing is off limits. Parents will post literally anything if it gets engagement. First period? Filmed. First heartbreak? Filmed. Meltdown in a grocery store? Filmed. Crying because of bullying? Filmed. All of it monetized. All of it sold. This isn't parenting. This is content farming. This is trafficking intimacy. And society claps because it's wrapped in relatability, because we've been trained to see this exploitation as harmless. But it isn't harmless. It's a business built on the unpaid labor, stolen privacy, and permanent exposure of children who never signed the contract. Section 3. Parallels with CSAM. If you're already clutching your pearls, too bad, because this is the part everyone avoids. The polite liberals, the suburban moms, the brand-safe influencers, they'll all tell you it's different. They'll shriek at the comparison because the second you line up the mechanics side by side, the jig is up. Posting children online for likes and money and the production of CSAM, same playbook, same machinery, same logic. One's dressed in predator's filth, the other in family fun, but the child doesn't care what outfit you put it in, and they're still being used. Let's map it out. 1. Control versus consent. CSAM exists because adults decide children don't need consent. Their agency is stolen, their vulnerability exploited, their existence turned into content. Sound familiar? Because family content operates on the exact same principle. Parents decide their child's image is theirs to distribute. Parents decide the world is entitled to their tantrums, their tears, their milestones. Parents decide, not the child. The difference is only in degree, not in kind. The child's right to privacy, dignity, and autonomy is erased in both cases. Exploitation without consent is exploitation, period. 2. The permanent record. CSAM's horror isn't just in the act, it's in the permanence. Those images never disappear. They're circulated, copied, archived. The child grows up, but their abuse remains frozen in time. What happens with family content? Same damn thing. The embarrassing tantrum, the potty training accident, the first period, once uploaded, it's permanent, screenshotted, shared, archived. The child cannot reclaim it. The permanence of exploitation binds the child's identity to the parent's hunger for clout forever. Different content, same irreversibility. The trauma doesn't come from what was shared. It comes from knowing you never had a choice. 3. Fetishization and reuse. Here's the part parents love to pretend isn't happening. Predators harvest family vlogs. Pedophiles scour YouTube, TikTok, Instagram for innocent content, because innocence is itself a fetish. They don't need nudity. They fetishize the vulnerability, the bath times, the gymnastics routines, the tickle fights, the birthday parties. Wholesome doesn't mean safe. It means exploitable in a different market. Family vloggers are serving predators a buffet. And when those clips get cut, re-uploaded, and passed around, congratulations, your family content just became raw material for someone else's sexual economy. Tell me again how this isn't on the same continuum. 4. The profit motive. CSAM exists because there's profit in it. Black markets, secret forums, criminal distribution. Family content exists because there's profit in it too. Ad revenue, sponsorships, brand deals. Both are adult-driven economies built on the bodies, emotions, and vulnerabilities of children. Different payment processors, same damn exploitation. The child is the product, the adult is the profiteer. Call it wholesome all you want. You're still cashing in on someone who never got a say. 5. Grooming the audience. Here's a fun thought experiment. What's the difference between grooming a child and grooming an audience to normalize seeing children as public property? Not much. CSAM grooms perpetrators into treating children as objects of desire. Family vlogs groom society into treating children as objects of entertainment. The audience learns to see kids not as individuals with rights, but as consumable content, crying, laughing, failing, humiliating themselves, all on command. That's grooming the cultural mindset. It normalizes voyeurism. It trains us to feed on innocence as spectacle, and predators love it because it lowers the guardrails for everyone. 6. The "but it's different" defense. Every parent who gets called out falls back on this limp line, "It's not like that, it's not sexual." As if sexual exploitation is the only kind of exploitation. As if there aren't gradations of harm. As if a child's humiliation, stolen privacy, and commodified innocence don't matter unless it comes with nudity. That's bullshit. It's moral cowardice. Exploitation doesn't need to be sexual to be real. It doesn't need to be violent to be permanent. Different doesn't mean innocent. It just means sanitized enough for society to stomach. 7. The same core violation. At the end of the day, both practices share the same rotten core. Adults taking what is not theirs, what children cannot yet protect, and converting it into product. In CSAM, the product is overtly sexual. In family vlogs, the product is packaged as cute. Both strip the child of agency, both lock them into narratives they cannot escape, both force them to become characters in a story they didn't choose, and both leave scars that don't fade just because society calls one of them wholesome. 8. Imagine the role reversal. Flip it for 1 second. Imagine if a child filmed their parents in humiliating, vulnerable, intimate moments and uploaded them without consent. Imagine if a 12-year-old put their mom's breakdowns online, monetized their dad's medical visits, paraded their parents' fights for strangers to gawk at. The outrage would be deafening. Lawsuits, restraining orders, violation of privacy. But when it's parents doing it to children, silence, applause, brand deals. That's not just hypocrisy. It's proof that society values parental ownership over children more than it values children's humanity. 9. The continuum of exploitation. This is the hardest pill to swallow. CSAM and family content aren't two separate worlds. They're points on the same spectrum. One is the nuclear reactor, the other is the toxic runoff. One's criminalized, the other normalized. Both exploit, both damage, both reduce children to consumables. The only real difference is optics. One shocks us enough to outlaw, the other tickles us enough to trend. But the continuum is real, and pretending it isn't is cowardice. 10. The shame bomb. Here's what nobody wants to admit. When these kids grow up, they'll feel the same core shame victims of CSAM do. Not the same intensity, not the same trauma, but the same humiliation of having your body, your privacy, your most vulnerable years turned into permanent media without your consent. Different degrees, same psychic wound. You weren't safe in your own home because even your parents treated you like content. And no amount of "we did it out of love" will wash that away. Section 4. Psychological, social, and safety harms. Parents who plaster their kids online like billboards for clicks love to say, "It's harmless." No, it's not. The damage might not show immediately, but it festers. It waits. It grows with the child until it explodes in humiliation, resentment, trauma, and danger. Let's lay it out. 1. Privacy as a stolen birthright. A kid's first right, before toys, before education, before freedom, is privacy. A safe bubble to form an identity without the world watching. Parents rip that away the second they hit upload. Suddenly, the child has no private self. Their tears are public property. Their milestones are public property. Their humiliations are public property. How the hell does a kid build an authentic self when they've already been turned into a character by their own parents? They don't get to experiment, stumble, and grow in private. Every misstep is archived, captioned, monetized. That's not childhood. That's involuntary reality TV. 2. Performance anxiety and forced personas. Once kids realize the camera's always on, they adapt. They become performers. They play roles to keep their parents happy because if they don't deliver content, there's tension, disappointment, maybe even punishment. This is child labor without a paycheck. Children aren't supposed to carry the weight of keeping the audience entertained, but millions of kids now live under that pressure. And guess what happens when the audience gets bored? Parents escalate. They dig deeper into humiliation, into exposure, into cruelty, anything to keep engagement high. That's how kids end up sobbing on camera while their parents laugh. That's how punishments get filmed. That's how vulnerability becomes the breadwinner. 3. The legacy of humiliation. Fast forward 10 years. That toddler screaming on the potty, that little girl crying after being bullied, that awkward preteen fumbling through puberty, those moments are still online, still searchable, still downloadable, still memeable. Imagine growing up and discovering your worst, most embarrassing moments have millions of views. Imagine having to date, apply for jobs, make friends, while knowing strangers have laughed at your lowest points. This isn't funny. This is lifelong humiliation baked into your digital identity. 4. Predator magnet. This one should be obvious, but parents play dumb. Predators are watching, every day, every platform. They're time-stamping, archiving, and trading clips of kids that parents handed them for free. Bath time, gold mine, gymnastics, jackpot. Funny tantrum in underwear, straight into the dark corners of the web. And predators don't just watch, they stalk. Plenty of kids from family content empires have had obsessed strangers track them, message them, show up in their real lives. Parents invited the world in, and now the world doesn't leave. 5. Bullying and peer weaponization. Kids are cruel, and the internet gives them ammo. When classmates find old vlogs or TikToks, they don't just tease, they weaponize it. Imagine being 12 and having peers mock a viral video of you crying at age 5. Imagine trying to build confidence while your brand has already been set by your parents' clout chasing. Childhood content becomes social napalm, blowing up trust, safety, and self-esteem at the exact moment kids are most vulnerable. 6. Identity theft in real time. There's another layer of theft happening. Kids don't get to own their own identities. Their parents curated one for them. Their online self was engineered before they could even read. They're branded, they're packaged, they're marketed. And by the time they're old enough to rebel, it's too late. Their digital shadow already owns them. They can't undo it. They can't reboot. Their parents stole their chance to be anonymous, to decide what they want to reveal, to grow into themselves without an audience. That theft is irreversible. 7th generational betrayal. When these kids grow up, many will look at their parents not with love, but with rage. Because what could be more violating than realizing your mom and dad pimped out your childhood for likes? What could be more humiliating than knowing the people who were supposed to protect you were the ones who handed you over to the algorithm? That's not just bad parenting. That's betrayal. That's trauma. That's generational damage that will echo long after the likes and brand deals dry up. This isn't harmless. This isn't just sharing memories. This is manufacturing trauma for entertainment. This is handing predators free material. This is raising kids inside a surveillance panopticon and calling it love. And the worst part? Society claps. Strangers consume it guilt-free. Advertisers sponsor it. Platforms reward it. Everyone profits, except the kid. The kid pays in humiliation, in danger, in stolen privacy. Section 5. The hypocrisy of society. The only reason this grotesque circus is still running is because society won't call it what it is. We wrap it in euphemisms. We call it family content, mommy blogging, capturing memories. We pretend it's harmless while the mechanics scream abuse, and the hypocrisy is nauseating. 1. But it's just memories. No, it's not. Memories belong in photo albums, in family scrapbooks, in private drives. Memories aren't monetized. Memories aren't tagged with hashtags for sponsorship opportunities. Memories aren't fed to strangers on demand. When parents call it memories, what they really mean is marketing. It's branding. It's content creation. Stop insulting everyone's intelligence. 2. But the kids are happy. So what? Children can be groomed to look happy. They can be bribed, manipulated, or just too young to understand. A child can smile on camera without grasping the exploitation happening around them. You wouldn't justify sweatshops by saying, but the kids are smiling in the Nike ads. You wouldn't justify child pageants by saying, but look at the glitter. They seem to like it. Children aren't proof of their own well-being. They're proof of how easy it is to manipulate. 3. But it's better than a 9 to 5. This is the parent's favorite excuse. At least I'm home with my kids instead of at work. Translation: I turn my child into my paycheck. You don't get a medal for avoiding the office by pimping out your family on YouTube. You don't get credit for being present when your presence is mediated by a camera. Parenting isn't a business model. If you have to turn your kid into a product to pay rent, you've failed them twice, once by commodifying them, and again by justifying it as necessity. 4. But everyone does it. This is the dumbest defense of all. Everyone does a lot of things that are toxic, exploitative, or downright evil. Everyone used to hit their kids. Everyone used to smoke around babies. Everyone used to laugh at drunk driving jokes. The fact that exploitation is normalized doesn't make it moral. It makes it a cultural disease. 5. But it's safe. It's just cute stuff. Safe? Nothing online is safe. Every single image, every single video is replicable, downloadable, and ripe for predatory use. Parents upload cute bath time clips, and those clips get ripped into predator forums. Parents film kids in swimsuits and act shocked when strangers timestamp it. What did you think was going to happen? The internet doesn't care about your intent. The internet consumes, distorts, fetishizes, and replicates. If you put your kid out there, you're feeding that machine. 6. But I'm doing it for them. Oh, please. Parents love to claim the revenue is for the kids, for college, for their future. Bullshit. If it were really for the kids, the accounts would be in the kids' names, with their money locked away in trust. But in almost every case, it's the parents spending the money, the parents building their brand, the parents basking in the spotlight. The kid is just the prop. And even if the money did go to the child, what the hell is that? Paying them retroactively for years of stolen privacy. Throwing hush money at them when they grow up and realize their childhood was a circus? That's not generosity. That's a bribe. 7. The algorithm's dirty hand. The hypocrisy isn't just parental. It's systemic. Platforms like YouTube and TikTok love family content. Why? Because it's engagement crack. Kids' faces are gold for clicks. Vulnerability is rocket fuel for watch time. Platforms aren't neutral. They actively promote child exploitation because it sells ads. And society plays along, liking, sharing, subscribing, pretending it's wholesome when it's just exploitation scaled to billions. 8. Audience complicity. Let's not pretend the audience is innocent. Every like, every share, every "aw, so cute" is complicity. You're consuming children the way you consume reality TV, except reality TV stars at least signed contracts. You're watching strangers' kids cry, laugh, stumble, and grow as if you're entitled to it, and you're not. No one is entitled to someone else's childhood. 9. The double standard. And here's the nastiest hypocrisy of all. If a random adult filmed a child on a playground and uploaded it, they'd be arrested. But when parents do it, we clap. When predators do it, we condemn. When parents do it, we subscribe. The double standard isn't logical. It's cowardly. Society doesn't want to face the truth, so it pretends the packaging changes the content. It doesn't. A child is still being exploited. The only difference is whether we find it palatable. This is the hypocrisy. We condemn one form of exploitation while feeding the other. We demonize predators while applauding parents. We pretend legality erases morality. We tell ourselves it's harmless when the evidence screams otherwise. And by doing so, we normalize the idea that children exist to be consumed. Whether it's for lust, laughs, or likes doesn't matter. The principle is the same. The child is not a person. The child is content for the consumer. Section 6, the call to action. Enough excuses, enough euphemisms, enough pretending family content is innocent when it's just exploitation dressed in soft colors. This is abuse. It is commodification. It is a lesser form of CSAM. And the fact that society applauds it should shame every single one of us. We don't need more think pieces. We don't need more sympathetic mommy blogger interviews. We need consequences. We need regulation. We need a cultural shift that calls this what it is and ends it before another generation grows up realizing their childhood was stolen, packaged, and sold without their consent. 1. Laws and protections. If child actors have unions, work hour restrictions, and guaranteed savings accounts, why the hell don't child influencers? If Hollywood has to protect minors on set, why do family vloggers get a free pass to film their kids sobbing in bedrooms for millions of strangers? We need legislation. Mandatory income trusts for all monetized child content. Explicit consent laws that give kids the right to have their images taken down when they're old enough to decide. Harsh penalties for parents who film abuse, punishments, or humiliation for profit. If this sounds extreme, remember, CSAM is already illegal. This is just acknowledging the continuum and acting before it escalates. 2. Parental accountability. Parents need to be told flat out, if you turn your child into content, you are exploiting them. Period. No exceptions. No, but it's just for family. No, but it's cute. If it's public, if it's monetized, it's exploitation. Parents who film their kids' meltdowns, who post bath time clips, who upload punishments, they should be held socially accountable, not congratulated, not sponsored, shamed, condemned, treated for what they are, people willing to sell out their children's dignity for clicks. 3. Audience accountability. Stop watching, stop liking, stop sharing. Every "aw, cute" comment is fuel. Every view is profit. Every share is complicity. If you consume it, you're part of the problem. You're helping normalize the idea that children exist for public consumption. You're grooming the culture to accept child exploitation as entertainment. 4. Cultural reset. We need to rewire how we think about childhood. Childhood is not content. Childhood is not public property. Childhood is sacred, private, fragile. And the only people who should witness it are those in the child's life. We need to build a culture that sees posting children online as shameful, as abusive, as a violation, the same way we recoiled at child labor, at sweatshops, at pageants. This isn't about being prudish. It's about dignity. It's about safety. It's about refusing to hand predators free material. 5. The final image. Picture this. A kid, now 17, stumbling across a viral video of their 3-year-old self, pants down, crying on the potty, with millions of strangers laughing in the comments. Imagine the humiliation, the rage, the betrayal. Imagine realizing your own parents pimped you out to the internet. That is the future we are creating if we keep pretending this is harmless. A generation of children raised as unpaid entertainers, growing up under the crushing weight of exposure they never chose. So here it is, plain and brutal. Posting children for likes and revenue is exploitation. It is child labor. It is grooming an audience to see children as consumables. It is a lesser form of CSAM, and it needs to stop. Not tomorrow. Not after another viral family collapses in scandal. Now. Because every upload, every like, every share is another nail in the coffin of childhood innocence. Parents, put down the camera. Audience, stop consuming. Lawmakers, do your damn jobs. Because children are not content. And if we can't even agree on that, then we are no better than the predators we pretend to despise.